Listen here, you criminal scum. You're gonna serve a life sentence up in the Gotham State Penitentiary after the hammers of justice push you in. You're gonna be done for the job. So get ready to face the Batman. Hello and welcome to Red Universe Top 10. I hope that you enjoyed that little bit of a joke that it was in the beginning, but I gotta tell you, out of all the things Batman that I love, aside from the 66 series that you guys can quickly put together, I fucking love the Batman The Brave and the Bold series. And of course, while I don't own the entirety of this is one of my favorite series of Batman, especially cartoon-wise, far bar none. And I just love this series. I kept thinking about it, and I mentioned it in my already uploaded review of League of Super Pets about talking about Batman the Brave and the Bold. Hint, hint at what I'm going to review in February for the first Monday. Shh. Anyways, I thought it would be fun just to come in here and just geek out about something that I love, and that would be Batman the Brave and the Bold. I know that most of my uploads have already been said and done, and I will upload more if I have anything to talk about, but dear God, do I love Batman the Brave and the Bold, dude. This is just a goofy, campy series that combined everything that we love about Batman into basically a goofy aesthetic, and Diedrich Balder, God bless him, he is just one hell of an amazing voice actor. So, let's all get back and relax and enjoy the fun times of Batman. This is my top 10 favorite episodes of Batman the Brave and the Bold. Number 10. The Golden Age of Justice. As a fan of avid comic book reading and also learning about the olden age superheroes and just seeing how goofy and campy that they are, this episode really gets it across very quickly. Because now that Black Adam has come out, the Justice Society of America is in that movie, and the Justice Society of America in this episode are just fucking amazing and awesome. It's the reunion of the Justice Society, and Batman goes to pay his respect to his teachers, but it's not just Batman, but Black Canary as well. I also love straight out of the way how Batman and Black Canary have known these superheroes and how long that they've known them, and also that family tradition that they created with them is just amazing. Another great thing to get across is the relationship between Wildcat and Black Canary, and especially for Grey DeRiso and also the man missing legend Ugly Ermy doing the voice acting was great. But it's unfortunate that an old enemy of the Justice Society shows his face back up again, ready to get revenge upon the Justice Society for all they caused them in the past. And in this episode, you see why Canary is very upset with Wildcat, but the way that they explain it is just really well done, and I love the relationship between the two of them. And also, Batman as an old man. I think that's all that needs to be said in this episode, but it's just fan-fucking-tastic, especially given the old superhero the limelight. And the minute that Batman gives a bunch of the older superheroes a way of fighting back, reverting them back to their old ages, it's just great. Number 9. One Arm of the Law. Plastic Man is one of the best things that ever happened in Batman the Brave and the Bold, and this episode it just proved why. After being obsessed with Batman and thinking that he can be the next Batman, Plastic Man brings alongside his best friend, Woodsy, into, well, being in his life. What's great in the episode is that they show that Plastic Man does have a family, he does have a life, and including his son, actually named Offspring, is in this episode, which is pretty good too. What's great in this episode, even though it's used for comedic purposes, but we get to see how Plastic Man's home life is because it's not very happy as a lot of people would probably think that it is. Also, it flashes back to Plastic Man's origin that he was a part of Kite Man's gang, which is a pretty good origin story, especially for Plastic Man. Also, Jeffrey Combs voicing Kite Man is just amazing, and also Rubberneck was a great addition to this story as well. If you want to see some great old-fashioned school action with Tom Kenny and Diedrich Balder, this episode is definitely right up your alley, just like it is for me, and I get a laugh out of it every time I watch it. Number 8. When Omak attacks. Batman had teamed up with some pretty weird and abnormal superheroes during his entire superhero lifestyle, but Omak, the old school one, was the most weirdest. This Omak is known as a janitor by the name of Buddy Blake, who just happens to be a fan of Batman, in fact, a superfan as it were, but he has a hidden lifestyle. when doused in Brother Eye's radiation, or whatever, Buddy Blades has ended up turning into his own version of Superman, Omak.
Introduce the perfect weapon. Omak, the one-man army corps.
This episode is not only great for bringing in one of Jack Kirby's most kind of abnormal creation, but also showing the duality between Buddy Blake and also Omak, which I thought was pretty great. And also Omak, pretty much a tough guy or somebody like the Incredible Hulk, needs to learn not to fight and to hold back in order to defeat his enemy, which is pretty weird. And also to avoid a nuclear disaster or a meltdown, Batman deactivates the reactor and saves the lives of millions. But who saves his life? Well, it's none other than his biggest fan, Buddy Blake, and I gotta tell you, this episode is just one amazing episode that needs to be seen and talked about more. Number 7. A Bat Divided. Noted how I said with Omat that this series brought in some weird and abnormal characters? Well, here it brings in a character that I honestly really do like and enjoy, including seeing in the series because I'm a fan, Firestorm. Firestorm happens to be everybody's favorite, Ronnie and Jason, who cannot see eye to eye for the life of them, but until Dr. Double X breaks into their lab, due to an explosion, they end up together creating the Master of Disaster, or the awesome superheroes I like to see him as, Firestorm. But this series is also infamous for bringing us something very awesome onto the table. The 3 Batman. The smart Batman that Ronnie ends up escaping with, tough guy Batman who wants to do nothing but fight and throw fits with each other and everybody. And my personal favorite, the laid back and shaggy kind of Batman, who is the funniest in this episode. Also trying to see Batman try to train Firestorm into, how to be a superhero and how to deal with the dual life and duality of everything is pretty good, especially for all 3 Batman, giving him the lecture. Including having one of my favorite lines ever been uttered by any Batman in all of history.
Not be a part of me. Batman does not eat nachos.
But regardless of favorite quotes, this is still a great episode, especially for introducing Firestorm, who would later on become one of the main players not only of the series, but for DC Comics in its entirety. Number 6. The Super Batman of Planet X. So, Batman in his early days, especially of comic books, have had some weird and abnormal stories, and this one really encapsulates the weird and quality of the Batman older life. In space, fighting off a few evil aliens, Batman and Green Arrow happen to try to save the galaxy, but Batman ends up pulled into a vortex. Vortex that takes him to an evil super planet that just ends up to look just like Gotham, but it's a Gotham that's combined also with Metropolis, which makes it all the more hilarious. That's what really that down. While Batman is on this planet, he inherits superpowers that very similar to his friend and comrade in arms, Superman, much to his utter confusion. But that's not the only confusing thing that Batman has to deal with, because Batman apparently also has a twin that lives upon this super planet known as Batman, who dresses kinda weird. Just to make note and mention to people, Batman is voiced by the iconic, legendary, and sadly no longer with us, Kevin Conroy. So this is Batman meeting Batman. Knowing that Kevin had passed away, leaving behind a legacy, makes this episode all the more sweeter that Kevin would voice pretty much a parody of himself, and that's hilarious. Aside from Kevin Conroy, you get a more awesome voice cast such as Dana Delaney that voices this woman that is a love interest of Batman. But you also get the iconic Clancy Brown as the main villain of the episode, and I gotta say, I just freaking love this episode for everything and all of its goofiness. I know that Kevin Conroy is probably looking down upon me and smiling, and that I do love this episode because of everything that Kevin Conroy brought to the table, including voicing a parody of himself. Also hilarious, he does his best imitation of Tim Daly or George Newbern's Superman, and that alone is also pretty damn hilarious. But if you wanted to witness the iconic Batman in all of his glory, if you wanted to see something else besides Batman the Animated Series that Kevin was in, please check out this episode because it is nothing short of fantastic. Number 5. Mayhem of the Music Meister. ever have one of those days where you just can't remember of something that you saw, but you swear to God that you're not making it up, and you swear to God that it's real? This episode was probably that. This episode is nothing but a musical having the cast of Batman the Brave and the Bold sing, and introducing the music master, voiced by Neil Patrick Harris. Never thought Doogie Howser or Batman could sing? Well, surprise, surprise, Neil Patrick Harris is in this episode, and he is fucking fantastic. I guess it's because I grew up with a lot of great musicals, and hell, I still even love musicals to this day, that this is why this episode is fantastic. But I think what really brings it apart is that it's just a what the fuck kind of episode. Seriously, it's just nothing but a musical having some talented people sing, and I don't mind that, but this is Batman the Brave and the Bold. Are you sure I'm watching the right series here? And also, I can't lie, I love the way that Grey Doriso sings. She is just a talented singer, and I wish that she would sing more, especially outside of voice acting, truthfully. Don't believe me about Grey Doriso being a great singer? Just listen to some of the tones that she can hit, including some of the notes that she can hit, just in this episode, and you'll be amazed. If you have the time or you're interested, I hope that you check out Mayhem of the Music Master, because this episode is just a guaranteed classic, and I love how they introduced the relationship between Green Arrow and Black Canary in this series. Number 4. Trials of the Demon. Batman basically going up against Jack the Ripper. Obscure, you say? Strange, you say? Well, that's what he does technically in this episode. What's that? Batman versus Jack the Ripper? It actually did happen. In Batman Gotham by Gaslight, Batman actually ended up fighting Jack the Ripper. Well, technically not Bruce Wayne. It's like one of his ancestors that does, but still. Gotham by Gaslight is an awesome Batman story. I have sadly yet to read it myself yet. But you gotta think. This is Cartoon Network. This is the kids series. So how do you get across that it's Jack the Ripper because they were inspired by Gotham by Gaslight, and how would you get this into a kids series? Instead of Jack the Ripper, you make it a very weird enemy of Hawkman, not Batman, Gentleman Ghost. I gotta say, it's a very interesting choice that they decided to use Gentleman Ghost instead of Jack the Ripper, but I understand it's for kids. And also, Sherlock Holmes and Watson are in this series because of, Batman was inspired by Sherlock Holmes, I suppose. This series also has another Jack Kirby creation, one that's my favorite, Etrigan the Demon, that a lot of people don't actually talk about, or aka Jason Blood. That's a side of Batman that we have not seen in quite a while, or basically very rarely, is when Batman would go up against supernatural creatures, something that he did do and kinda does with Man-Bat. I think that this episode is just awesome for introducing Etrigan the Demon, something that I am very proud of because I love learning about Etrigan, and Jack Kirby was the man, dude. He was the king. Also having the awesome D. Bradley Baker voicing both Jason Blood and Etrigan the Demon, and also D. Rick Boulder as Batman was also just as entertaining. In case you think Batman can't get any darker, Jen, who do you think voices the main enemy Astaroth in this series? It's fucking Candyman Tony Todd, and no, I'm not lying.
Presence in Whitechapel. I know it well. Tread carefully, for you are not immortal yet.
I guess I just love this episode because I love supernatural elements to my Batman stories, and this one just does a great job of mixing supernatural with Batman detective knowledge. If you want to watch something new, different, and probably something that you've never seen before, I'd highly recommend checking out Night of the Trials of the Demon from Batman the Brave and the Bold. Number 3. Legends of the Dark Might. So, in case you're unaware, one reason why I put this episode on here is not because of the brilliant writing or anything like that, which is also why it's up there, but mostly because we have lost one of my favorite comedians and also favorite voice actors, Gilbert Gottfried, last year, and it just took me and ripped my heart out that this amazing creative person just tragically was gone. And in case you didn't know, Gilbert Gottfried in Superman the Animated Series voiced Mr. Mistleplex. So, in this series, while it is not Gilbert Gottfried that voices Dark Might, it does technically, in a sense, kind of is a nice nod and influence because of how much Paul Dini was a big fan of Mr. Mistleplex. But Batmite is not voiced by the amazing Gilbert Gottfried, but instead Pee Wee Herman himself, Paul Rubens. While trying to do the right thing by fighting crime, because that's what Batman does best, he is instead interrupted by his quote-unquote biggest fan in the world, Batmite. Batmite, similar to Mr. Mistleplex, is a fifth dimensional nymph that kind of follows around and becomes obsessed with something, and in Batmite's case, he becomes obsessed with the Dark Knight and wants to follow him around. This episode is mostly comedy based, something that I didn't know that Paul Dini could do very, very well, but he does an amazing job of it, and Paul Rubens as Batmite was amazing. Especially when Batmite makes fun of Batman's other costumes, it's fucking hilarious.
Too campy. Too icky. Too confusing.
And even when Batmite brings in Calendar Man, someone who is supposed to be one of Batman's most deadly adversary, and it's the older Calendar Man, I laughed my ass off onto my floor. Also, the Kevin Smith Easter egg just had me laughing my ass off in that this is just fantastic. This is technically also a little bit like Bruce Almighty in that Batmite wants to be like Batman, so Batman decides to show Batmite that it's not all fun and games as he intends or believes. It is rather great seeing some of Batman's other villains or abnormal villains that are brought into the mix, and even giving Batmite that much more of an internal challenge that he could face. It's quite a goofy episode with a goofy premise, with also a goofy character such as Batmite, but hey, it's Batman and Brave and the Bold, and it's Paul Dini, and it's Paul Rubens, so I give it a pass. Number 2. Invasion of the Secret Santas. Oh yes, I do have a soft spot for Christmas episodes and also Christmas cartoons and Christmas in general, but this episode is just a classic. Saving some children, Red Tornado ends up hearing about the Christmas spirit and he is inclined to join in on the Christmas festivities by learning about what truly the Christmas spirit is. He tries to do a whole bunch of different things, decorate his house, the outside of his house, wear his Christmas sweater, and even try to sing Jingle Bells with his monotone voice. But unfortunately, crime does not take a rest for Batman, and it does not take a rest for the weary, so it involves a bunch of UFOs trying to invade Gotham City because Batman. However, it had to do with this villain. No, I don't remember his name. It's not Toymaster, it's Funhouse, I believe his name is. And of course, he's holding a reference to a Bald Any episode. And as it turns out, Baby Doll just happened to be a baby doll bomb. That's kinda hilarious. If I have to nitpick at something, it had to be that they included Batman's origin story to take place around Christmas, which is just goddamn fucking stupid. Also, this probably has one of the best traumatic experiences a kid could experience in a kid's cartoon. What child wouldn't have nightmares after seeing Batman just brutally kill Santa Claus in front of you, even if it was a robot? Regardless of everything though, this was just a great episode. Despite my little nitpicks about it, it was still fun to watch, and it was such an enjoyable watch too. Also, you might fall in love with this episode just like me and a bunch of other people do, claiming that this is one of their favorite episodes, and for me, I can definitely say that it is, but it's not my number one pick. And my number one favorite episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold is Chill of the Night. By the great Paul Dini, this episode is probably the darkest episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, but including having a bunch of voice actors in it from Batman's past, such as Adam West and Julie Neymer as Batman's parents. On the anniversary of Batman's parents' death, he is interrogated by the Phantom Stranger, voiced by Kevin Conroy, and the Spectre, voiced by the amazing Mark Hamill. The two beings of ultimate power plan on deciding the fate that Batman will choose, justice, or if he'll truly go with vengeance. Makes it even better when Batman actually ends up tracking down and finding out who his parents' killer is and how to find him by interrogating the guy that hired him. does lead Batman on a pretty dark trail to finding out who exactly killed his parents, and Jesus Christ, you will feel for Batman in this episode. I'm shocked that Paul Dini and company was able to get away with an episode that was this dark, this foreboding, and leading into Batman's history, but I love it for what it is. Sure, it might be dark as hell. Sure, it might be probably the darkest episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold, a children's series, and also a children's comedy series, but the way how the talented powerhouse of Paul Dini just crafted together this episode was just amazing, and it is just by far my favorite of the whole bunch. The entire time, it'll have you wondering whether or not Bruce Wayne, or Batman, will go into the hands of justice, or finally be beaten by the thing that he hates the most, vengeance. If you have the time and if you're curious, I highly recommend checking out Show of the Night, my very favorite Paul Dini written episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. And so there you have it, everybody. That is my top 10 favorite Batman the Brave and the Bold episodes. And I gotta say, despite as many times as I probably critique and watch each episode, I will never grow tired of them. Especially that they're mostly comedy based and whatnot. It's still a great series to watch. Did I mention one of your favorite episodes? Let me know in the comment section down below. And let me know which episode that you think was your favorite. And you can feel free to tell me at any given time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time for whatever video I happen to do. Or if it's just Multi-Movie Monday, then be sure to check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, beware my hammers of justice.